Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to Hopeful Elect. The names that you just heard me say there are the true names of the Heavenly Father and His Son in the ancient Hebrew. Yahweh is the true name of the Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahasham means in the name, and who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai. Racha Kodash, which is the Holy Spirit given on high from the Heavenly Father through His Son, for us to have the proper understanding of the Scriptures in these times. Really just going to get right into it because I just feel like the Spirit is hot on me to get into this. So I have two articles here from End Time Headlines, and I've just been meditating on things, especially with the, I believe it was earlier this week where Elon Musk talked about Jesus-like power through, technology, essentially. How they want to, through technology give people or through technology they would have, Jesus-like power, right? Who they call Jesus, which when you read the scriptures, who they call Jesus, which his name in the Hebrew would be Yahweh Shai, he had the power to do what? To walk on water, but most notably what? To heal people, right? He healed the lame, he healed blind people, he brought back Lazarus from death. I believe it was a damsel as well. I believe it was a man of a high rank in Israel. He brought back his daughter. So when they say Jesus-like power, these are the things that they're talking about, right? Like it says in Revelation, 13 and 14, if I'm not mistaken, deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, right? But we're not focusing on that. Mostly want to focus on this right here, right? Because really that does tie into it, because that is through technology, right? We're going to focus on this right here, and I have two articles here from End Time Headlines, right? I want to focus in this lesson how essentially something that Klaus Schwab said about in the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which I have it as well. I'll play it a little later. Actually, let's start with that, actually. Let's listen to that, and then we'll get into his article. So let's listen to that first.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity. And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
So Lord's willing, we'll come back to that again, right? But you heard essentially what he says. He says it is not the fourth industrial revolution is where you change, right? So this is what the New World Order is all about. Now, don't get it twisted. They are changing society, but in them changing society, it is forcing you to change, just like he said, which is going to lead also to what it says there in Revelation 13 with Poyo. But let's get into this article. So I played that for you. Now, we're going to go through this article. It's really short, but may not go through the whole thing, but just want to get the premise of this. But remember what he said, right? I'll just repeat it one more time. He said what? The fourth industrial revolution is primarily where you change, right? And he said by what? Getting a genetic editing, if I'm not mistaken, or essentially you taking something in your body. So you have to change in this fourth industrial revolution, which is really the New World Order. So remember that. The fourth industrial revolution, which is essentially the New World Order, is where essentially you have to change, right? So it has here 8,000 robots, are changing work inside logistics giant DHL supply chain, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this out is because this is a part of you, right, or them forcing you to change, right? It says, according to a report from Fortune, DHL supply chain has rolled out more than 8,000 robotic systems across its global facilities, marking a major shift in how the logistics giants manages its vast warehouse network. The ambitious automation push led by Global Chief Information Officer Sally Miller is delivering measurable gains in efficiency while confronting the industry's persistent labor shortages. Right? The deployment has reduced operational costs, decreased employee turnover, and improved workplace satisfaction at equipped sites. Yet it comes with a clear trade-off in workforce needs. Does it reduce our dependency on labor? Yes, it does. Miller told Fortune, if anyone says otherwise, I don't think they are being truthful. So, with having these, and I've mentioned this before in previous lessons that I've done, that the Lord has had me do, AI or robots don't need to sleep. They don't need to eat. They don't need a vacation. So with that, you're able to put out more and produce more. And with that, what is the need for human labor? That's what she said. If you're being, anybody who's not being honest with themselves is essentially lying, right? She says, does it reduce our dependency on labor, which is what labor? Human labor. Yes, it does. A 20-year-old veteran at DHL Supply Chain, Miller rose through the ranks to her global CIO role in 2024. The company first invested in robotics in 2017, targeting repetitive manual tasks such as picking, packing, and storing goods. Sites struggling to attract and retain workers, so it's struggling to get people and then even to keep them, have seen the strongest return on investment as robots take on physical demanding duties like unloading trailers in extreme heat. As automation expands, human roles are evolving. Workers now focus more on supervising robotic systems and leveraging data from AI-powered features. So you're not really needing that human labor as far as loading the trucks, packing things, taking things here and there. Now it's more of the robots are doing that. Now we need what? People to now oversee the robots, make sure that they're functioning, they're working well, that everything is running smoothly, which means what? You're going to need less of those people because you don't need, let's just say, 100 people watching over. Right now, I don't know how much people would take, but let's just say it takes about 20 people job. You don't, or maybe even less than that. So you see, now you're cutting down what? The workforce. Because it doesn't take that much people to watch over the system and make sure that the system is running smoothly. Then on top of that, how many people know about essentially overseeing robotics, getting into the tech world and things like that? Not a lot of people. Then think about that. If you want to get that, you gotta probably you have to go to school, right? Study up on that type of stuff, so that way, what, you can have a chance to be able to maybe find a job or keep your job in the, let's just say, using example, this article, this place at DHL. So you're seeing the human labor is going down because robots are doing everything, right? Lord's willing, this will all make sense in a second, right? Going back to what Klaus Schwab was saying. It says, as automation expands, human roles are evolving. Workers now focus more on supervising robotic systems and leveraging data from AI-powered features, including computer vision. There's just a lot more you can do if you have the ability to use computer vision to harness that data. DHL partners with multiple vendors, including Locus Robotics, Boston Dynamics, Robust AI, to mitigate risk from startup volatility. The systems are piloted in control areas before scaling across companies' 2,800 sites worldwide. Miller noted that employees respond positively to changes. People prefer to work in sites where there's technology deployed, she said. So that's according to her, right? But essentially, you're seeing what? That robots are now becoming a thing more and more in the workforce. And like I said, over time, this is eventually going to what? Push out human labor. Yes, for now, okay, fine, people will work, because that's what usually happens in these articles. They don't want people to come into a panic where it's like, look, part of my language, especially if you have kids around, I'm going to give you 3 seconds at least to remove your kids if you have kids around. All right. They don't want to sit there and say, you know what, fuck you people, we don't need you people, get the hell out of here. They don't want people to be like that. They don't want to panic. You have to keep up a certain image. But essentially, that's what's going to eventually get to, where it's like, look, we don't need you guys anymore. You guys are more of like an irritation to us because it's like, we don't need you guys and you guys are just here. So eventually layoffs are going to happen where it's like, we're laying you off. We're getting rid of you. You're not needed. We have the robotics is doing it for us. And again, like I said, they don't need to eat. They don't need to sleep. They don't need to take vacations, right? They don't need, an hour break, a lunch break and things like that. They don't need any of that. They could just continuously pump out work for the companies, right? So now, if there's nobody or a lot of people are getting laid off and not working, what does that do? Now, what? AI is now essentially taking over. It's not just in this. There's a lot of, articles coming out where essentially AI is taking over places and what people are losing their jobs, right? That's why I have this article here as well, where it says AI leaders warn of mass job losses from advancing technology. So they can see, which it's really just orchestrated for this to happen, right? This is how prophecy is being fulfilled, where it says, such as like in Isaiah the 19th chapter, where it talks about there shall be no work for Egypt. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Ecclesiastes the 12th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, the grinding shall cease, which is the employment, right? How is employment or working ceasing? It's not meaning that there's not work, period, or work isn't happening at all. It's just what you people are not working. Why? Because AI is now taking over. As you can see here, AI leaders warn of mass job losses from advancing technology. But they're the ones that's putting this stuff out, but they can see that essentially this is going to lead to job losses. So if you see what you're creating is going to lead to a problem, then why are you persisting in it? I will say that again. These are the AI leaders. These people are most likely, like Elon Musk, a little name here, is essentially pushing for AI. If you see that is going to, like Elon Musk has his Neuralink, right? And things like that. Which Yuval Noah Harari has talked about this as well. He's mentioned this as far as AI doctors, right? If you have AI doctors, if you're pushing for AI, if you're pushing for all this type of stuff, and AI doctors are more efficient, they don't make a mistake, right? They're faster, they're more, obviously they get the job done more efficient than a human does. If you are pushing for it to get to that limit, but you know that it's going to, pretty much take out human doctors, then why would you push? Because essentially they're seeing that this is going to lead to a problem where there's going to be job losses, but you're making the machines better at the job. So if you know this is causing an issue, why would you continue to advance it? Why would you continue to do this? Because it's manufactured. They want this to happen. They want you people to not be working. Why? Because they want to squeeze you in a direction that they want you to go. Again, like Klaus Schwab said, the fourth industrial revolution is where what? You, the people, change, right? By a genetic, I apologize, what he said, by a genetic change, roughly paraphrasing what he said. I'll play back the video that I have, right? But that's essentially how it has. So this is one of the ways that they're squeezing you. They're pushing you, right, in the direction that they want you to go, which is essentially what? You taking a device the size of a grain of rice, which is written of in Revelation 13 and 16. So I'll read this and then we'll get to the other precepts, because I also have Yuval Noah Harari there as well. It says, according to a report from the Washington Post, Elon Musk is outlining a vision for AI-driven future that relies heavily on federal support to address widespread unemployment. So they see that eventually unemployment is going to be a thing, right? Let's read this. As artificial intelligence continues to reshape industries at a rapid pace, prominent figures in the tech sector are increasingly calling on governments to step up with bold solutions. So let's pause right there. So there's an issue. Anytime you hear the word or see the word solution, whether it is a big problem or a minor problem, there is still an issue. There is still a problem, right? If you need a solution, regardless if it is a minor issue or a big issue, if it will solve it, right? It doesn't matter, right? If you need if you need a solution for something, regardless if it's minor or if it's a big problem, it is still an issue, and there needs to be a solution for that, right? Now, before we get into this, let's go back to that where the first paragraph where it says, according to a report from the Washington Post, Elon Musk is outlining a vision for AI-driven future that relies heavily on federal support to address widespread unemployment. All right, let's play back so we have it fresh in our minds of what this guy said, and I'm going to get the other one.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take genetic editing, just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
So he said, it is you that change if you get a genetic editing. All right, those are exact words. So this is why I want to play these videos, so that way you can see it's them saying it. It's coming out of their mouth. So the fourth industrial revolution is where you, the people, change by taking a genetic editing, right? Now you have this guy here. Yuval Noah Harari.
Previously in history, if you were on the wrong side of history, if you didn't understand what was happening and you lost the competition, then you ended up as some kind of serf or manual laborer being exploited by the people who understand and have the power. Now, if you're left behind, you're facing something far worse, which is to be completely irrelevant. They won't even need you as a serf or as a slave. What to do with them, and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless? My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games as a solution for more. It's already happening. Under different titles, different headings, you see more and more people spending more and more time on solving the inner problems with drugs and computer games. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. People will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net.
Okay, I didn't want to play that, but there was a lot said there, right? But essentially, he didn't mention it, but he's often called people, which he kind of alluded to it in the second clip, where essentially people would be useless, right? He's often called people useless eaters. So bring this all together. If you have jobs being taken over by AI, people being laid off, leading to mass unemployment, right? Maybe not everybody, but let's just say a good more than 50% of people are being laid off. You essentially have what he was calling people who are useless eaters. Because in this new world, everything's being run by AI. You're not able to compete. You're not able to do anything. And you saw him mention in that last clip that if you don't essentially merge with the system, right, that what? You will not be able to partake. You will essentially be left out. And that's essentially along the same lines of what Klaus Schwab was saying in the beginning, the first video that I played, which what? The fourth industrial revolution is where the people change by a genetic editing. Essentially, what is that genetic editing? Revelation 13 and 16, a small device the size of a grain of rice. When they are changing society, when they're doing all this Amazon Palm payments, right, getting you used to using your hand to pay for things, When they're doing all these changes in society, making essentially a digital system, talking about CBDCs, we had earlier this week, not this week, but earlier last week, if I'm not mistaken, if not the week before, with Prince Charles, if I'm not mistaken, talking about digital currencies and things like this. All these things that they're talking about is pushing and moving society in the direction that they want to go, right? Which, let me get that for you. Get that word for you in Revelation, right? So let me finish my point. They are changing society. Although, yes, Klaus Schwab said that what? The fourth industrial revolution is where the people change. But yes, they still have to change society in order what? To get you to make that change as well. Because essentially what? The people have to adapt with the changes. I'll use this for an example. Ashiar mentions about the gas, how the gas used to be a lot less. But now with the Strait of Hormuz and all that type of stuff, I believe he said gas is like $4.50. At one point when it was less than that, people were fine. But now, and eventually, people will get accustomed to what? It being $4.50 a gallon for gas, right? And then let's say it goes up again, but let's just say another $1, then it'll be $5.50, almost $6. You see? And then let's just say it goes up again. Now, yes, people will complain about that, but what essentially, as things change in society, you have to adapt and you have to change and go along with it as well. It sucks. Oh my God, gas was, like let's just say $3, but now it's almost $5. Now it went up again. Now it's $6. It's the same thing with the bus fare. I remember when the bus fare used to be $2. I remember when it was at one point $2.25. It was $2.50. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's $3. Now, every time that change happened, yes, people complained. People are like, what the hell? But what? Eventually, people adapt and got used to it because this is the direction that they want people to go. And so, hey, we don't like it. It sucks. But hey, we have to adapt to it. I guess I'll be paying $3 to get on the bus and train now. So now with AI, people don't like that they're being replaced by AI at the job. People don't like these type of things happening to them. So in order to not be left out, let's go back to what Yuval Noah Harari said there at the end.
These are the new driving forces of evolution. People will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected.
You won't be able to survive if you're disconnected. So essentially, they are changing society in this way. Although it seems like they may be genuine, trying to help you out and things like that, they are pushing society in this direction for it to be this way. So like Klaus Schwab said, you can change, you can adapt to it as well, which the adapt that they want you to do is to take a device the size of a grain of rice in your body. I apologize, just want to be very thorough. But now let's get into some words with definitions here. So when you go into Revelation 13 and 16, and he calls it all, let's just stop right there. Who is the he? The he is not one individual. The he is a group of individuals who have a collective mind, have a collective idea, right, of, I'm just going to say it, microchipping people, right? So the he is not one individual. It's a group of individuals. And you're seeing the spokespeople for the group of those individuals, which would be the top banking families, the Illuminati, if you will, right? So when you see men like Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari, they are the speakers for the Illuminati, the top banking families, letting you know what the plans of the elites are. If you ever listen to the interview, I believe it was like an hour, maybe an hour and a half, between Alex Jones and Aaron Russo. Aaron Russo is very close with Nick Rockefeller. And Nick Rockefeller revealed to him how they want everybody to have a device inside their bodies, which is essentially a microchip. He revealed that unto him. That's their plans. That's what they want to do. And when you see, like I said again, Yuval Noah Harari and Klaus Schwab come out and say things like this, they are the spokesmen for the top banking families that are essentially letting it be known to the people what their plans are. They're letting it be known, but not just straightforward telling you it, but in a roundabout way telling you what they're planning to do. So when you go into that word causet, it is poeo, which says to be the authors of, which is essentially what? They are the authors of this new world order, right? The cause, but it says what? To make ready, to prepare. So they are changing society, right? Especially with, this moving into this digital system, moving with automation, which is essentially robots. They're changing society. So that way, like I gave my examples earlier, although things suck, like gas prices going up or the fare for the train and bus going up, but even though it sucked, they had to adapt to it. So hey, why not do that same thing with AI? Hey, AI is going to take your jobs. AI is already taking your jobs. It's doing it at a rapid rate. There's mass unemployment. They can see these things, but it's funny. They can see this before eventually the mass layoffs happen, but yet they're not coming up with any ideas to prevent the mass layoffs. They're just coming up with, oh, well, you know what? It's going to happen. We can't prevent it. We just got to come up with the digital system. Why is there no push for complete prevention? Because they want this to happen. That's why. Right? So as they're changing society, you now have to adapt and also change as well. So if things become digital, there is no money. In order for you to be connected to society, you therefore have to adapt to society as well. And now like Klaus Schwab said, the fourth industrial revolution is where you change by a genetic editing. This is why they've talked about transhumanism, right? Trans meaning to change. You are changing, like Klaus Schwab said, yourself. Yuval Noah Harari said, at the end, if you're not connected to the system, you essentially will be left out. And they are the authors. They are the ones making this stuff ready, preparing you for this by changing up society, so that way they're forcing you to adapt. You would have no other choice but to. Otherwise, you will be a useless eater. You will have no importance in society. So continuing, he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you go into that word mark, it has 3 Greek words there. The first Greek word is charagma, which talks about an etching, basically to cut into the flesh. The second Greek word is charax, which is a pale stake, a palisade, which is essentially the sharp instrument used to make the cutting. What would be the modern day sharp instrument, the modern day charax? A needle, a syringe. And then the final word in the Greek there for mark, which would be grapho, which is to write down, to record things not to be forgotten. So like Yuval Noah Harari was saying, unless you are part of the system, by taking that genetic editing, which is essentially the mark of the beast, which is written here in Revelation 13 and 16, you will not be able to partake in society, which goes right into the 17th verse. So let's play back what Yuval Noah Harari was saying.
Forces of evolution. People will literally be part of a network. All the bodies,
See? So let's slow down here, Salakia. People, which is society, will literally be part of a network. How will you connect to that network? through that device, right? That's why it says he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. And that mark will connect you.
Brains would be connected together to a network, and you want
right? Through that device, you will be connected to the network.
Be able to survive if you literally being part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net.
You won't be able to survive if you're not connected to the net. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. So unless you have, save meaning unless. So unless you have the mark, you're not able to be a part of the network. Why? Because you're not connected to it. Because you don't have, essentially, let's look at the mark as a key giving you access in. So if you don't have this, you will be pretty much without. You won't be able to do anything because they're changing society in this way. And now you have to now adapt, change yourself, like Klaus Schwab said, by genetic editing, which is essentially taking this thing, right? And therefore what? Now being a part of the system where everybody is connected. And him specifically, Yuval Noah Harari, has talked about many a times about the cloud, the data, having a bunch of information on everybody. And if everybody is connected to this network, they now have information and data on everybody to now what? To control people. Because that's essentially what they're creating, a digital enslavement through AI. But again, this is how they get you in. This is how they pull you in to what they want. Because again, going back, he calls it all. He's going to cause people to take this thing, right? By what? By pulling them in, by changing society. And now, therefore, when society is changed, people now have to do what? Adapt. It will suck. We don't like this, but if we don't, like Yuval Noah Harari said, if people don't essentially adapt to this and get connected to the net, you will be without. You won't be able to survive. 17, that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Unless you have this thing, you will not survive. But for the elect, that's where the Lord comes in, because that's how the Lord is going to provide and feed for his elect. But for the rest of the people who are not of the elect, they're going to turn unto this and receive this mark because they see this as the only way to survive. And that's how they're creating society to be. So I hope and pray this all comes together. That job loss thing, right? Which, I'm sorry, I didn't even finish reading this article. I just got so much into really bringing out that point there, right? But the job loss, they're seeing essentially here in this article here that, oh, well, we see that eventually there's going to be essentially mass layoffs, mass unemployment. But they're not really doing anything to fix it. They're kind of creating a safety net, like, okay, this is going to happen. Let's create a safety net right underneath. And you see they're saying as artificial intelligence, continues to reshape industries at a rapid pace, prominent figures in the tech sector are increasingly calling on government to step in with bold solutions, right? Which that bold solution will be the MOTB, right? But again, we'll see how this all plays out. But we know the end goal, which is what they want. Musk, whose companies are at the forefront of AI and robotics development, has publicly advocated for direct government payments to citizens displaced by these technologies. The approach envisions a system where prosperity is maintained even as traditional jobs vanish, right? So here you have universal high income. Now it's changed to high. It used to be universal basic income. Universal high income via checks issued by federal government is the best way to deal with unemployment caused by AI, Musk said in the post. But don't think that this is going to come for free. So they're just going to be distributing you money because you lost your job and things like that. They're going to need to create a system in order to track and know who's getting everything, because what if some people try to, you know how people are, right? Try to double up on the money. So there's going to have to be something to be able to see, hey, Sally, you got your check and that's it. Hey, Mark, you got your check, you're good. Because people can't be doubling up on it and stuff like that. So they're going to have to create some little system. Not saying that it is going to be the mark of the beast, but maybe something to show you even more, just like with the, early stages of, 2020, 2021 and things like that, where they were really pushing for people taking that shot, right? Something maybe, just me speaking as a man, just spitballing ideas here. Again, like I said, we'll see. But maybe something that, I don't want to say like the mark of the beast, but something where it shows you essentially more of what they want to do, right? Getting people, like Yuval Noah Harari said, getting you in a system. Could be something, a little baby system, roughly, for a lack of better words, to show essentially how they're going to enslave people, how they want to connect people to things like that. The discussion highlights growing concerns among AI executives that automation could eliminate millions of positions, eliminate millions of positions across sectors. Leaders are urging policymakers to prepare comprehensive safety nets. Oh, that's funny. It said that same thing. Safety net, including large-scale redistribution measures to prevent social and economic upheaval. This push comes amid accelerating advancements in generative AI and autonomous systems, raising urgent questions about the speed of workforce transitions. Critics, however, expressing skepticism about whether wealthy tech entrepreneurs would ultimately back the substantial tax increase or fund mechanisms required to sustain such programs long term. The debate underscores tension between innovation-driven disruption and the practical challenges of supporting affected workers and communities. But essentially, Elon Musk is essentially calling for, hey, a safety net. Well, if there's going to be a lot of job losses, there has to be something to give people, as they're now calling it, universal, which is very interesting, that word. Again, you got to listen to the words they use as well. Universal. Now, we know that as it says in Revelation 3:10, Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. And that word world there should be oikoumene, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to make sure of that. Yes, oikoumene, which is essentially the inhabited earth. So this whole earth. So it's very interesting to use the word universal, which is essentially everybody, which now high income, which this temptation, right, the hour of temptation is going to be a universal temptation. Everybody on the planet Earth is going to be taken by this. So it shows you even within this that they want to somehow put this as well to be tied in some way. Again, like I said, just speaking as a man, just spitballing ideas here, that they want to tie this in with the mark as well in some way. But again, like I said, we'll see how this all goes out. There's a lot of things that they say out there, like I said, this universal high income, as they're calling it. You've heard CBDCs, digital IDs, things like that. If I'm not mistaken, I think the man from UK, I forgot his position in UK, but his name is Keir Starmer, talked about digital IDs as well, or a digital passport, if I'm not mistaken, something along those lines. So it's very interesting now, the words that they're using now, the conversation that they're having. Everybody's just now talking about digital this, digital passport, digital ID, essentially digital money, right, which is essentially cashless, right, getting you into a system, getting you into a net, right, things changing. So now the people also have to change as well. Klaus Schwab talking about a genetic coding, right, where the people have to change, right? So it's very interesting all when you listen to the wording and everything that they're saying, how it's essentially everything is prophecy, right? That essentially like, not Klaus Schwab, Yuval Noah Harari said, unless you're connected to the net, you will not survive. And that's what they're pushing for. They're changing society so that way what? You can change. And the change is what? You taking that mark. You taking that small device the size of a grain of rice. Oops, I'm sorry. Right. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I have for those articles. But yeah, but that's pretty much, in summary, again, just bringing the lesson to a close. In summary, by them changing society, by them moving things more digital, by them, excuse me, by them also having AI take over the jobs, they're forcing and pushing and wanting to push people to get prepared, like it says in Revelation 13 and 16, Poel, right? They're the authors, right? Essentially, you can say they're the authors of the New World Order, the Fourth Industrial Revolution, as Klaus Schwab calls it, that they are pushing, essentially, right, for this new world. But they have to also have the people, they need the people and need to push the people to adapt to the new world. So that way they can get them to take what they want. So that way they can be a part of the system, and that way they can have total control over the people. Because again, mentioning the interview between Alex Jones and Aaron Russo is very close friends with Nick Rockefeller, and even Aaron Russo, both their names start with an A. Aaron Russo talked about what? Essentially, with that device, they'll be able to control you. They'll be able to shut it off if you speak against them, or they'll be able to, do whatever they want with you, because essentially you'll be a part of their system. You'll be in their net. And once you're in their net, they can do with you as they so please. Think of it like an actual net. When you catch a fish, you can either choose to release the fish or you can keep it. It's in your grasp. It's in your power. Once you're in that net, they can do with you so whatever they please. So long as you're in the power of their hand, that's what they can do with you. And that's what we're praying for the Lord to keep us from. Like, that's why going back to Revelation 3 and 10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. So we're praying that the Lord keeps us in the right spirit, helps us to endure. So that way we can keep the word of the Lord's patience, so he can keep us from the hour of temptation. So that way we can be fed, we can be taken care of. Because all these things are manufactured, all these things are being done to push the people to rely and look upon them, so they can get them in their net, get them in the system, so that the way they can control the people. Now, you may find that crazy, you may find that to be, I'm just going to say these words, to be a conspiracy theory, but this is true, which when you look at how society is moving, everything is moving closer and closer to essentially you being bottled up and being controlled. They talk about also, I didn't mention in this video, there's a ton of things you can go into just listening to them alone. 15-minute cities, all these things is about essentially control. It's all about controlling you. Them changing society is so that way you can adapt to the new society, so that way they can control you. It's all about control. Hence the New World Order. Hence the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The Fourth Industrial Revolution, the New World Order, is about control. Total control. As Alex Jones was listening to Aaron Russo talk about essentially that device, and he was like, total control. Because with that, with you being in that system, with you having that device, they will have total control over you. So where they can say, that way they can essentially do with you as they please. If you speak out against them, they can take off your device, and essentially you can't be a part of society. Because like it says, unless you have that mark, you won't be able to buy or sell. Now, if they shut it off, it'll be pretty much like you don't have it. You see? So therefore what? It is total control of the people. Right? Therefore, you have to comply. So, I pray and hope this video has been edifying. I'll end it here. In ending, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing to those for elect. Shalom.